Released by Tri-Ace in 2006 on the PlayStation 2, Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria would be a follow-up and prequel to the original Valkyrie Profile game. Directed by Takayuki Suguro and written by Yasushi Otake, the story would take place hundreds of years before the first game while also continuing events that took place in the first game. For story, the game features a Valkyrie named Silmeria and a princess named Alicia who share the same body and journey, fighting alongside up to 50 other characters, though only 4 can be fielded in battle at a time. For gameplay, players can visit towns and explore dungeons around an overworld map with no time limit now, as actual traveling, platforming, and puzzle solving are done from a 2D perspective using 3D sprites and environments. Battles take place on a 3D battlefield using the Advanced Tactical Combination System, in which each of the player's 4 units are assigned to one button, and pressing that button enables that character to attack. By consuming a meter to attack, another special meter is built up that, when full, may be expended on a powerful special attack by one of the characters. Multiple special attacks may be chained together, and parts of enemies may be broken off to enable more attacks. Dungeon rooms now have a variety of combat modifiers, and the party may select specific bonuses for themselves for the party at specific altars. The game also features optional dungeons and bosses, co-op controls in battle, and New Game Plus. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, we see Princess Alicia is warned by a voice of an incoming danger. She tries to flee but is halted by Valkyrie Hrist, who speaks to Alicia, ordering her younger sister Silmeria, who inhabits Alicia, to return to Valhalla. Silmeria wakes up briefly within Alicia, refusing to comply, and sends Hrist's attack back at her to cover her own escape. Hrist acknowledges her choice and knows where she is headed, stating the kingdom of Japan will not be spared. Keeping a low profile as she enters the harbor of Solde, Silmeria tells Alicia she needs to return home and tell the king to prepare for a war. She knows Odin will have no problem sending gods to attack a city just to kill Alicia and force Silmeria's spirit back to Valhalla. The reason is because it is forbidden for 2 Valkyries to exist in Midgard at the same time, and Hrist is a currently designated one. Silmeria also has several valuable Einherjar with her Odin would like to have transferred to him. Just her being here is a violation, not to mention their integration is flawed, resulting in her own and Alicia's personality constantly switching places and looking odd to outsiders. Alicia doesn't know how to fight, and Silmeria assures her she can find companions who can, as they hurry to the docks to find a ship back to Japan. Unfortunately, Hrist has already caused an incident preventing future departures, and Silmeria suspects she may be nearby, so they'll have to take a secret underground passage instead. For protection, she takes over the timid Alicia and recruits the archer Rufus to be their escort, revealing Alicia's status and urgency. However, Rufus wonders who Alicia is talking to when she talks to herself, and wonders how she can be the princess when word is that the only daughter of King Barbarossa died years ago. Again, Silmeria takes over, countering with her sharp wit and demonstrating her ability to create crystals with sacred light absorbed from the energy of the world tree Yggdrasil. Noting there are supernatural foes that will obstruct their path, Silmeria finds a focus and summons forth one of her stored Einherjar, storing it until it's needed, though there are many restless souls within her. As something is observing them from afar, Rufus is full of more questions, and Silmeria reveals she is simply materializing the dead souls of those chosen for the War of the Gods. To herself, Silmeria tells Alicia the Einherjar with her need to get stronger to exist on their own, as though they once fought by her side, they all deteriorated during her incomplete transmigration with the princess. As they travel through the underground passage, Alicia finds a pendant that reminds her of her mother from the time when she was forcibly taken away from her. Seeing a nearby greatsword, Silmeria summons the fallen soul tied to it, and the imposing knight needs no persuasion to fight for Midgard once more, introducing himself as Dylan. His fierce loyalty to the princess puts him at odds with a skeptical Rufus, though a guardian beast appears to drive off all invaders. Afterwards, Rufus confronts the princess on dropping the charade, deducing her real identity as Valkyrie. Silmeria confirms his suspicions, revealing both of them share this body, and Rufus reveals he knows of the 3 sisters, and that they are not incarnated as humans without a reason. He's also heard Japan is planning to rebel against the gods and accuses her of spying on the humans, but Silmeria proclaims she no longer serves Odin and intends to assess King Barbarossa's sincerity before preparing Japan for a war with the gods. Looking to a ring he wears, Rufus thinks before choosing to believe her, lending aid to her cause. As they approach the castle, Silmeria goes quiet, and Dylan wonders if she is concealing herself from Hrist. Alicia thinks to reach out to one of her childhood friends here, named Dallas, who became one of the 3 mages. Seeking out the underground labs, they are surprised to encounter undead, and Alicia wonders what her father is really up to. Investigating, they find the lab filled with oddities being grown in tanks, and Rufus observes they are using coffin-like devices down here to actually grow monsters. A giant tentacled monster crashes down, and while they brace for battle, Dylan pauses, stating he can hear its voice talking to him and telling him Barbarossa has driven him to despair. The primordial ooze attacks anyway, and they are forced to cut it down, discovering a study beyond. Alicia spots Dallas, who is shocked to see her, and quickly tells her she cannot be here, though he cannot say why. Rufus calls him out on the experimentation being done here, and Dylan looks over data they have on time, demons, and elves. Rufus's ears perk up at the mention of elves, and Dylan notes they even have research on the legendary dragon orb, wondering what all this has to do with creating monsters. At this time, Silmeria assumes control, demanding to know more about the dragon orb as Odin seeks one of the 4 treasures as well. Surrendering, Dallas confesses King Barbarossa seeks power that will allow him to oppose Odin. Just then, the other 2 mages step in, upset at Dallas's betrayal, and even the king himself is behind them. Alicia takes control and rushes over to her father, but he shoves her aside for her insolence and declares again his daughter is dead. He orders their imprisonment and the group quickly escapes, though they are interrupted by Hrist, who repeats Japan is already preparing for a war against the gods. She moves to strike down Alicia, but Rufus and Dylan show they are not to be underestimated, and she leaves while stating how pointless Silmeria's efforts are. The group is soon surrounded again by the 2 mages and royal soldiers, but from the shadows, a mage quickly blows them all away and teleports the group away with him, as the mages are outraged by the actions of their new apprentice. Safely outside, the mage introduces himself as Lazard, apprentice to the 3 mages, and tells her he saved them because he thinks she can stop the king's dangerous research. He explains that the king is seeking immortality by means of a closed timeline and needs the dragon orb to do it after many failed experiments on elves and undead. Silmeria thinks now they need to find the powerful dragon orb to ensure it does not fall into the hands of Japan for the sake of Midgard. The group agrees, and Lazard points them to the village of Coriander next, where the last recorded sanctuary the orb is. When they arrive, Lazard mentions how the tribe that used to guard it moved it around for protection, and so it may not be around, though they look for clues anyway. Silmeria senses something wrong that prompts her to hide within Alicia, and entering the tomb, they find hardened energy from the World Tree in the form of a powerful seal stone. Dylan senses the presence of another warrior down here, clashing blades, though the man backs off when he sees they are not who he was expecting. A woman with a blade hails him as Arngrim and explains they are mercenaries in here trying to find treasure. She introduces herself as Leone and suggests they team up to face the dangers down here together, pausing as she notices the ring Rufus wears. Alicia is fine with the new companions, though Dylan finds Leone awfully suspicious. They reach the dais but see no dragon orb upon it. Calling out Silmeria for guidance, the Valkyrie reluctantly comes out, casting a glance at Leone before reading the psychic energy of the dais. She learns the orb was taken earlier and is now in the distant kingdom of Vilnor. Leone claims to have heard of the concept of multiple souls sharing the same body, and offers to continue accompanying them, not interested in the orb so much as the treasure rumored to surround it. The group sets off, though Silmeria warns Alicia to watch her back, and tension rises between both groups. Leone tries to calm things down and urges Silmeria to use her object reading to read their minds and clear suspicion, declaring she knows she is a Valkyrie. Silmeria obliges, stating she reads no ill will from them, but noting she specifically doesn't read anything from them. Dylan is fine to make peace with them, as is Arngrim, but Lazard quietly keeps an eye on Leone. Traveling to the lands of Vilnor, the road is full of dangers as the team works together to survive strange creatures in deep mines and arrive at a floating shrine atop the water. As they rest, Leone compliments Alicia on how she's tougher than she looks, and Alicia replies she's determined to see her mission through. She shares that she needs to find the dragon orb, return it to Japan, and avert a war with the gods. Arngrim scoffs, but the princess isn't shaken, instead saying she thinks of both of them not only as allies, but allies to Japan in this endeavor too. Arngrim waves away the words, reminding them as mercenaries they only care about being paid. Rufus then mentions Alicia is Japan royalty, and though Arngrim perks up, Dylan notes Leone seems unsurprised to learn this, though she evades the comment. After putting down a fiend plaguing the shrine, Rufus accidentally touches the dais here, as it jolts him, knocking his ring off and his body is racked in pain. Silmeria knows to get the ring back on him quickly, as Lazard observes the war protecting the dais does not harm humans, and Rufus confesses he is actually half-elf. Lazard is intrigued, and an irritated Rufus estimates Silmeria knew the entire time. Alicia is confused, and Rufus angrily reveals his body is not only a vessel for the gods, but for Odin specifically, and the ring he wears prevents him from aging so Odin can claim his body whenever he wants. Without the ring, he's been told his soul will just burn away, and with it on he stays alive but with no chance of rebirth. Silmeria isn't pleased he revealed all this, but Rufus continues, stating he needs their mission to succeed, as it's the only chance he can escape his fate as Odin's personal farm animal. Lazard assures him no fate is unalterable and that they support him, but he dismisses their sentiments. Staying focused, Silmeria reveals the orb was here, but then taken in the direction of the desert town of Karlstad. Visiting the sandy town, they follow a trail to the volcanic caverns beyond the desert, and during one rest, Alicia talks to Rufus and shares that in some small way, learning he struggled personally with the gods like her made her feel less lonely, but he points out she has it worse than him. Alicia admits she always feared losing herself by sharing a body with another soul, and doesn't believe the gods will ever leave them alone. Rufus doesn't want to dwell on it, and is more eager to find the orb and give Odin his comeuppance. Using magic to cross over the deadly lava flow, they overcome a fiery foe in their way and locate the next dais. Reading its trail, Silmeria sees it has moved further into the military kingdom of Krell Monferin. Leone notices a recently dead treasure hunter too, and moves to pay respects and bury him despite being a stranger. Arngrim doesn't see the point, and she reminds him one day the same courtesy may be extended to him and tells him to go on ahead. They do, the Lazard intentionally lingers behind to have his suspicions confirmed, catching Leone communing with the dead in a divine manner. As it gets late, a tired princess stumbles and Leone catches her while calling out to Silmeria, and Silmeria is surprised Leone noticed it was her in control. Regardless, Silmeria is likewise exhausted by the journey, as it is not only an effort to come forth at all, but Alicia's body is not very strong to begin with. She heaves in sickness as Leone looks over her, and though Silmeria shoots a look back, she allows Leone to help her anyway. Afterwards, she falls asleep while mentioning this must be what having a loving sister is like, though Leone replies she's always been alone. During a later camp, Arngrim wonders why Dipan is even trying to take on the gods, and Dylan answers Dipan has held a long grudge ever since it was said about 200 years ago a Valkyrie once forced the wise king to become an Einherjar and took him away, much to the dismay of the kingdom. Odin has also had a long history of terrorizing humans in order to remind them he rules over them. Dylan himself was alive about a century ago, and Arngrim is shocked to learn this and surprised to see an Einherjar in person. Though to the side, Lazard again observes how unnatural Leone's reaction to all of this is. The next ruins they seek are in a dark forest constantly drenched by storms, and as they stop for relief from the rain, Leone asks Alicia what it's like to have the soul of a god within her. The princess shares it's only brought her pain, as her parents did not love her, openly despising her and banishing her from the kingdom as if she was cursed. Though she's thankful to Silmeria now because with her, she now has a chance to save her kingdom and herself from her own fate, which gives Leone something to think about. They find the dais guarded by a fearsome Hydra and see they are once again too late, but now learn the orb has been taken to the palace of the venerated dragon. As they leave, they are approached by an undead, though it is scared off by Silmeria, and Leone notes there are rare cases of tame undead. The undead speaks to another, however, as he warns aloud not to underestimate the Lord of the Undead, as not even a Valkyrie may be able to match him. Passing through the Dragon's Crypt tunnel and putting down the zombie dragon within, they arrive at the sanctuary and are surprised to finally see the dragon orb before them. As Silmeria moves to claim it, she is interrupted by Leone, who dashes in and snatches it away from her. She declares the dragon orb belongs to Odin and asserts she does not want to kill Alicia, and Alicia is sad to see the betrayal, acknowledging Silmeria's warnings. Arngrim is shocked to see Leone reveal her true form as Hrist Valkyrie, and isn't pleased with the deception either. He lunges at her, but she easily impales him and flings him away, though he's still barely alive, shooting back he's not afraid to right the wrongs of anyone he works for. Hrist offers him a reward for assisting her and the gods all this time by allowing him to be her Einherjar, but he firmly refuses. Silmeria adds Arngrim will join her, as Hrist may be able to defeat his body, but not his soul, pointing out another Einherjar who continues to rebel against Odin as an undead. Hrist blames her for that turnout and forcefully ends Arngrim, taking him by force and leaving with the dragon orb. Silmeria apologizes for not being strong enough to stop this, as she knew Leone was Hrist the entire time, but knowing that didn't change the fact she was powerless to stop her. Lazard agrees, pointing out Hrist could have done a lot worse if she wanted to, and Silmeria did the best she could under the circumstances. Alicia comes out to apologize as well, equally upset about the truth behind Leone, but Silmeria points out Hrist deliberately spared Alicia, and because of this there is still hope. Lazard brings up it's only a matter of time now before the gods will descend upon Japan, and Dylan adds they are still after Silmeria's soul, so going there is a trap. Silmeria agrees, though still thinks the best option for them is to spring that trap anyway. In Asgard, Odin verifies the dragon orb as one of the 4 treasures, handing it to Freya and thanks Hrist for her service. Hrist then dares to ask a question in return about the fate of Midgard. Freya clarifies that without the dragon orb, in time Midgard will be annihilated regardless of if the gods invade or not. Odin replies he has no wish to end Midgard, and though Freya begins to say something, he cuts her off, telling Hrist they will still focus on attacking Japan next. He dismisses Hrist and afterwards peers into the dragon orb, mentioning he knows the Lord of the Undead will be heading for Japan, as well as likely Silmeria, and they have a chance to kill two birds with one stone. To this, Freya warns him not to confuse his priorities between the orb and the Lord of the Undead, as Hrist collects her new Einherjar Armgrim to begin the attack on Japan. As the group hurries back to Japan, along the way Alicia is distressed to hear more and more bad news about Japan. Rufus asks Lazard why he can't teleport them, and Lazard replies that he has tried, but a powerful force field now surrounds Japan and it's beyond him. They cut through a snowy gorge back to Solde to catch a ship, but even from the pier they can see the flames rising from Japan and opt to take the secret royal underground path after all. However, waiting for them there is a friendly Ool of the Aesir, asked by Hrist to prevent anyone from entering Japan, who also encourages her to return to Valhalla. However, when Alicia steps forward to declare her intent to get to Japan, Ool's demeanor instantly changes to that of disgust, and telling her Hrist was trying to save her unnecessary suffering. Clashing, the mortals edge out a win against the god, and Alicia wastes no time in hurrying to the ruined castle. She catches word that Hrist is setting up a public execution of Barbarossa, and that two of the three mages, Walther and Gein, have changed sides and pledged allegiance to Odin. As they are setting up in town, Dallas is assigned to be executed next, though he assures the king that the queen is safe. Hrist and Arngrim oversee the execution as Hrist addresses the crowd, explaining this is the fate of anyone who tries to defy the gods and laws of nature, but is interrupted by Alicia and her party. Hrist orders the two mages to intercept them, but they are quickly taken down by the group. In response, Hrist cuts the king's ambition down to size with a decapitation that allows Alicia until nightfall to grieve before coming to claim Silmeria. She kicks the two mages for their failure, but to her surprise they rise up, rejecting her offer to become Einherjar and instead chose to betray the gods too by becoming undead. They quickly move to take Dallas, feeding him ghoul powder before escaping, and Hrist comments on this as she too takes her leave. As Alicia rushes to a dying Dallas, he tells her it was the king's wish that Japan be free of tyranny, and for Alicia to live as a complete person. For this, Walther told the king he would need a magic called Sovereign's Right, which is the system of Valkyrie's rebirth and is only known by Odin himself. Unfortunately, he also inevitably turns into a demonic undead and escapes, and Alicia then turns to try and find her mother, Queen Malabeth. As they enter the castle ruins, Rufus pauses and vocally questions the notion of them prepping to fight Odin himself and expecting to win. However, Lazard points out that as Odin's personal vessel, Rufus is actually in a unique position to be able to challenge Odin, and not as a vessel, but as a true god. Silmeria dismisses that all speculation, and says a lot of time and knowledge they don't have would be required, but Lazard still wonders. They encounter a procession of guards carrying a coffin, and somberly inform Alicia that the queen chose to take her own life. Stunned, Alicia barely has time to process this, as Hrist now appears, and they accuse her of having a hand in this. Hrist says she would have killed the queen, but she was already dead by the time she found her, and doesn't see the problem with gods reincarnating souls per the will of Odin. Outraged, Alicia charges at Hrist, but is easily knocked back by Arngrim, who steps in. Silmeria now comes out and confronts her sister, tired of her hiding behind Odin's orders, and demands to know what she thinks herself. As the Valkyrie rationalizes her duty, Lazard takes note of the mages skirting around in the shadows behind them. Hrist replies to the challenge of her sister, and the two Valkyries duel, and despite the weak body of Alicia, Silmeria manages to wound Hrist first, and in a moment, Walther and Gein step out to blast the two of them together. Catching them in a powerful spell effect, the souls of both Valkyries begin to separate from the human bodies they inhabit. Dylan recognizes this as a sovereign's right and begins to release the hidden soul within him, manifesting as the powerful lord of the undead, Brahms. As Lazard watches to the side, both of the undead mages are shocked to see this, and even Odin looking on is curious about this new development. Brahms declares it is now his turn to save her, as Lazard begins casting his own spell, and Freya now appears behind Brahms, poised to attack him. Silmeria hurries to block the attack, but unexpectedly she is halted and sent away, as Brahms is instead sealed in crystal. Freya is surprised to see the spell hovering overhead and confused where it came from, choosing to leave while taking both Hrist and Brahms with her as Lazard slips away. When she returns, Odin is pleased to see her seal and capture Brahms, but Freya is concerned how the humans learn to perform the Sovereign's Right. Odin isn't concerned about the loss of Silmeria, as they were going to transmigrate her anyway, so the humans' lesser ritual saved him the effort. Freya isn't so sure that's what happened to her, as when she was attacking Brahms, she noticed he cast some sort of strange distortion spell, but Odin doesn't believe her. He reveals he originally intended to use the energy from Brahms' soul as a replacement for the Dragon Orb to stabilize Midgard, but seeing as they have figured out the Sovereign's Right, he feels it may be best to let the realm perish. Meanwhile, Alicia wakes up, seeing only a dejected Rufus around, who says everyone else left. Alicia is also shocked to realize Silmeria is no longer within her, and Rufus believes she may have been transferred by the Sovereign's right, frustrated that everyone was hiding something important. He believes Brahms and Lazard were sent to Valhalla, noting how Lazard was casting something the entire time but didn't see it do anything. Dylan also looked like he was preparing something huge, but instead revealed himself to be the Lord of the Undead, and Rufus shouts out he has no idea what to do next. Seeing how upset Alicia is, he tries to lighten the mood and suggests they get out of here for now as they figure out their next step. They agree that they still want to pursue Odin, but look to each other in confusion on how exactly to do that. Thinking, Rufus says he'll go to the top of Yggdrasil and attain the knowledge to become a god there. He points out that even Silmeria admitted it was possible, and Odin was originally a half-elf himself, so he's determined to make it happen. Alicia states she wants to come along, but he rejects that, reminding her that now that she is a normal human, she cannot enter Yggdrasil. Though, she can at least travel with him to the Bifrost in the Forest of Spirits, and so they head off. Finding the magical entrance within the forest, Rufus can pass through it easily, but Alicia finds it impossible for her. They are spotted by a group of men wondering how Rufus got through the gate, but then see his distinct ring and figure it out. Taking a tired Alicia with him, he runs away for now, as the strange man orders their capture. Alicia urges him to save himself, but he refuses, and though their hiding spot is found out, they are saved by an elven archer who helps them escape. In the clear, she advises them to rest and even gives them food and supplies, stating she knows Rufus is the half-elf Heimdall is looking for. Alicia reveals their mission, and the green-haired woman confirms it's impossible for humans to pass through the gates of Bifrost, unless they were Einherjar or undead. Recalling Dallas, Alicia considers becoming undead too, and while risky, Rufus thinks that if she takes ghoul powder and they stop the process before it affects her soul, then it might work if they use his ring that freezes time for anyone who wears it. After all, it prevents growth and decay, and he only needs it while in Midgard, so once he passes through the gate he'll be fine. The woman is concerned about how crazy the idea sounds, but the duo is convinced as they can return to the pans and get some of the ghoul powder the mages kept in their lab. As they thank her and leave, she introduces herself as Rusalier, and after quickly obtaining ghoul powder they return to the gate. However, Rufus begins to have second thoughts, but Alicia is determined anyway, downing the poison as Heimdall's Aesir discover them and attack. Rusalier buys them time until the ghoul powder takes effect as they slip through the gate just as she is surrounded and killed by the Aesir. Rufus takes off his ring to give to Alicia, saving her, but it turns out it's too early for him to be safe and his soul begins deteriorating. Scrambling towards the Bifrost, they reach its light not a moment too soon, as Rufus is saved and they cross the Bridge of Light over into Asgard. They are interrupted by Heimdall, who detected Alicia's undead state, but showing progress, they manage to edge out a win against the Aesir defender. After the battle, they take time to observe the beauty of Asgard, and at the same time, Freya informs Odin Midgard's annihilation and the extinction of mankind is nigh, unless they replace the Dragon Orb, but Odin does not budge from his stance to her dismay. He mentions balance will be restored in time, even after events like this, and to himself, he is already aware of the invasion by Alicia and Rufus. He rises from his throne to take matters into his own hands, summoning forth the almighty treasure and weapon of Asgard, Gungnir. Back with the duo, Rufus is still haunted by the sacrifice of Rusalier and thanks Alicia for enabling him to get this far, and she responds in kind. He tells her it's safe to take off his ring in Asgard as time is eternal here and her condition will not advance. She agrees, though replies that she feels the ring is her good luck charm now, kissing it and causing Rufus to blush. Focusing, he tells her they need to split up now, as he'll continue to Yggdrasil and she remains in Valhalla, explaining that he knows Odin knows that they are here and is looking for them. She refuses, saying she'll take her chances staying by his side and becoming a god, and then they can face the threat together. Agreeing to her idea, they stick together, and together they climb the world tree, discovering the immense power atop it. However, before he can claim it, Odin is there himself too, having expected this move, and offended his own vessel can be so arrogant. Rufus shoots back, arrogance fits Odin just fine, and duels with the mighty god, but finds Odin alongside Gungnir is truly overwhelming. Alicia is also battered aside, losing Rufus's ring in the fall, but still determined to protect Rufus as best she can. Rufus gets off a sneak attack on Odin, surprising him, and tells Alicia to run and let him at least save her before he dies, but again she refuses to leave without him. Just then, Odin becomes distracted by Lazard using astral projection magic to arrive here in Asgard. He apologizes for the earlier transportation mishap separating him from the group, but he is here to help now. Lazard's magic proves able to push back even Odin as Freya now arrives, and seeing Lazard, realizes the distortion she felt earlier wasn't Brahms, but actually Lazard, and Lazard knocks her back easily. As Odin is distracted again by this turnabout, Lazard wastes no time revealing a new spell that instantly transfers the soul of a god and uses it to strip Odin of his soul and transfer it completely into Rufus. Now, in a wounded body, Odin is shocked by Lazard's power and Lazard proclaims he is no mere mage, revealing the soul of Silmeria behind him. As it turns out, back in Japan, Lazard's spell captured Silmeria's soul and transported it away before Freya sealed Brahms. Now, he easily strolls over to the empty body of Odin, mocking the arrogant king, and picks up Gungnir, claiming the divine lance for himself. With its power, he leaves, taking with him the body and soul of Odin as well as Rufus. Freya escapes on her own, and Alicia soon finds herself alone atop the tree. Despairing at losing Silmeria, then her parents, and now Rufus, Alicia moves to kill herself to end things, but suddenly hears the voice of Rufus halt her and remind her of their promise to go to Valhalla together. He assures her he is still alive, though she cannot see him, and is amazed at the scheme Lazard had all along just to claim Odin's spirit. Either way, he suggests leaving Lazard be for now as they need to at least get to the Dragon Orb before it's too late for Midgard, and maybe they can rescue Brahms along the way. Since she can still summon photons that Einherjar are like Silmeria, he wonders if she can also materialize souls like her too. With nothing left to lose, she gives it a try, while finding his missing ring and using it as a focus. To their amazement, Alicia succeeds in materializing him, and they embrace each other in relief. Reunited, they find a new barrier surrounding the power of the gods, preventing anyone else from obtaining it, and at the same time, Freya finds herself lost without Odin. Hrist now arrives, asking about Odin, and learns he and Gungnir were taken by Lazard somehow. Asgard is barely maintaining equilibrium thanks to the power of the Dragon Orb and Brahms' soul, and pursuit of Lazard will not be an easy task. Hrist summons Arngrim, but Arngrim couldn't care less about saving Odin, noting all of the human Einherjar feel the same, knowing they would be better off without him. He asks her what she thinks, and Hrist quietly leaves on her own in reflection. Not long later, Arngrim spots Rufus and Alicia in the halls and approaches them, thinking they were also made Einherjar. He's given a cold reception and, understanding, apologizes for helping execute Barbarossa, and even surrenders his life to them if it would make things right for them. Rufus questions the change of heart, and Arngrim simply replies he's done being a pathetic lackey. They tell him Lazard is the one who kidnapped Odin, and Arngrim is impressed by the feat, but they tell him they think Lazard is going to do something terrible. Arngrim is also impressed just the two of them squared off against Odin and survived, and feels truly defeated by their character now. Rufus offers him to come fight for them now with no obligation, and Alicia agrees, and grateful for the forgiveness, he gladly joins their party. They arrive at the water mirror where both Brahms and the Dragon Orb are being kept, and Alicia thinks to use it to transport both of them back to Midgard. However, they are halted by Hrist, though she says she is not here to fight but rather to seek their help in saving Silmeria, who was also taken by Lazard. She knows Lazard uses divine magic impossible for anyone without the proper knowledge, and accomplished it by combining the knowledge in the Philosopher's Stone and Silmeria's power. In fact, Lazard has fled to a new world outside Yggdrasil he created on his own, and Alicia remembers he mentioned such a feat was part of the king's research they accomplished in Japan. Hrist also suspects he's already learned the Sovereign's right as well, and Alicia boldly states that if she releases the seal on Brahms and hands over the Dragon Orb, then they will help her. Hrist considers this, but they are interrupted by an enraged Freya who refuses to negotiate with humans and does not hesitate to dash directly for Alicia. The goddess of creation is too quick for the group, easily evading their attacks and kicking down Alicia, but she is struck down by the intervention of Hrist, who chooses to make a decision for herself. She picks up the Dragon Orb and tells Freya she refuses to stand by and let the gods kill her Einherjar, using it to blow back Freya while the group escapes with Brahms through the water mirror. Defeated, Freya knows the fate of Asgard now lies with them now, forced to entrust them. Safe on the independent world Lazard built, Brahms wakes from his seal and Arngrim thanks Hrist, though she states she did it to save the world, not any of them. Rufus asks if she's still siding with Odin, and Hrist pauses, admitting she isn't so sure anymore. She shows them their only way out of this closed world, a shard of the water mirror she took with her, and as they set out to look for Lazard, she pauses, sensing her other sister, Lenneth, somehow. Not far, they indeed run into Lenneth, and Hrist mentions she remembers sensing her back in Japan as well. Lenneth drops down before them, explaining that she is not the Valkyrie Hrist knows, but is instead Lenneth the Creator, who has come here from an alternate future to save her world as well. Her world is the world after Ragnarok, where Odin is no more, and Hrist is unsurprised, knowing of the time machine underneath the Pan Castle. Lenneth explains it was Lazard who used the time machine, not her, as he came from her time as well. As a powerful mage who gained the knowledge of the Philosopher's Stone, survived Ragnarok, and was unaffected by her reincarnation, he bypassed her seal onto Pan's time machine and used it to travel to the past. There, he pretended to be a student of the three mages and began unraveling the future, starting with Silmeria. Normally, Silmeria was the one to save Brahms and be sealed by Freya, wherein he would beat back Freya and escape with Silmeria, but Lazard interfered, so Brahms was sealed instead and Silmeria was snatched away. With her power, he was able to further his plan of acquiring Odin's power and become a god himself. Looking over the group, Hrist explains they have teamed up to save Silmeria, and smiling, goddess of creation Lenneth is glad to join as well. With Lazard, he senses Lenneth approaching as he looks over the crystallized Silmeria, and outside the group encounters dangerous homunculus created of both Lazard and Silmeria. The powerhouse team of Einherjar, gods, and undead easily overwhelm and destroy the false copies. In the wake of their destruction, they see Silmeria's soul was not in the doll, and Alicia tries to contact her, surprising herself to not only get a response, but even manifest Silmeria herself. Meeting each other properly for the first time, Silmeria is impressed how strong Alicia has grown in more ways than one, and compliments her on her change. Regaining her own strength, Silmeria announces to the group that Lazard has already melded Odin's soul with his own, finally attaining the mantle of a god. Not long after, Lazard does not wait, firing off a warning shot with Gungnir as he greets the first visitors to his world, asking them promptly to either join him or die here. Casting a dark profile against the Valkyries, he confirms he has absorbed Odin's soul and become god, but Lenneth shoots back just being god doesn't grant you rule over all. Adjusting his glasses, he declares ruling over all is second to his true goal of obtaining her specifically. They fight, and Alicia is mad to hear Lazard has ruined so many lives just for his selfish desire, and Lazard points out it was not him but Odin who ruined each of their lives, and if anything, they should be thanking him for freeing them. Arngrim speaks for all of them, and stating that nobody asked him to do what he did, and Lazard shrugs, seeing there is no need to play nice anymore. He blows them all away and traps the three Valkyrie in his own sovereign's right, though Brahms is unsure what will happen with no place for them to be reborn in this world. Reduced to just wayward spirits, Lazard seals just Lenneth, and while Brahms tries to attack Lazard directly, it's no use, and he instead tries to shield the souls of Silmeria and Hrist from Lazard's counterattack, sealing them in crystal for safeguarding. His business done, Lazard claims Lenneth and leaves as the group collects themselves, and Brahms notes he can suddenly feel pain despite being an undead. He tells the group these are unfortunately not the souls of the Valkyries, but their displaced spirits in a transition state because of an incomplete sovereign's right. Lazard's plan is to now meld with Lenneth and become one, and in response, Brahms declares he will sacrifice himself to be the vessel for the combined Valkyries. Such a drastic concentration of power is needed to oppose the power of Lazard, though Alicia insists she will become the vessel instead. He warns her this will not be like hosting Silmeria, as this kind of fusion will result in an entirely new being, which is how he melded with Dylan to hide his identity. He also warns her that her body will not be strong enough to maintain the fusion for long, and she will lose her soul if it fades, and Rufus also objects to this sacrifice. However, she shares that ever since she was born and shared a body with Silmeria, when she was removed recently, she has only ever since felt hollow, realizing she needs Silmeria, and is thus ready for this. As they quickly catch up to Lazard, he describes his elation at becoming one with the goddess of creation, and turns to them, sarcastically appreciating the audience. Challenging him again, they buy enough time for the crystal around Lenneth's spirit to shatter, and Alicia and Brahms are ready to begin the ritual. Before Lazard can react, the spirits of all three Valkyries synchronize in profile and combine within Alicia, fusing all four beings into a new battle maiden of immense power that surprises even Lazard. Enraged, he unleashes his full power, intending to undo their efforts, but the combined strength of the Einherjar, including the almighty Arngrim, the last half-elf in Midgard, Rufus, the overwhelming power of the Lord of the Undead Brahms, and the concentrated ascended being known as Valkyrie, demolish the scheming god of anarchy and the new world, Lazard. As the defeated Lazard wakes up, he is still focused on claiming Lenneth, stabbing Valkyrie with Gungnir, though she doesn't even flinch or try to block him, showing him how weak he truly is. As he fades away, Lazard notes how being a god is not as almighty as he expected, to which she replies, no one can possess another's soul, and nothing can rule another's heart. For his many crimes, she declares he will pay with his soul, and Lazard truly accepts his defeat, disappearing. However, Valkyrie herself begins to fade as she turns to Rufus and shows him the ring he gave Alicia, kissing it as he is too late to catch her vanishing away. With Lazard's death comes the collapse of his castle as the group hurries to escape safely. With Gungnir and the Dragon Orb left behind, Rufus spots his ring nearby, putting it on and wishing to protect the future Alicia sacrificed herself to create. He picks up Gungnir, saying he'll return it to Asgard and save that realm too, and Brahms suggests the undead wouldn't battle the gods anymore if Rufus himself sat on the throne, grasping the shoulder of his new friend. Rufus notes the wound on Brahms' shoulder, and the Lord of the Undead mentions that for some reason in this world he is no longer an undead, somehow regaining his mortality. He says he appreciates the opportunity to pick his place to die and chooses this isolated world, mentioning the old realms have no use for him. Arngrim wishes to do the same, but Brahms mentions he was once human and still has work to do in Midgard, starting with returning the Dragon Orb to save it and remaining as its guardian. He reluctantly accepts, and the three warriors prepare to pursue the divided roads before each of them, using the water mirror shard from Chris to return back to their respective worlds. After Rufus and Arngrim leave, Brahms lays down and looks up as light cuts through the dark clouds above, closing his eyes as he can finally rest in peace. As the game ends, the four spirits within Valkyrie are reborn in the world, as we see a traveler help up a little girl who was Alicia's reincarnation, and it's Rufus keeping a low profile. He kisses his ring and the little girl turns around to look back, only to see her helper has already left. Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria has enjoyed the success of selling over 470,000 copies worldwide.